Can I explain it to you before you shout it? Okay?
I'm going to talk to you, I'm not going to shout.
Right. What we're trying to do is this. We want to get more jobs, right, for people in Scotland.
I understand that.
We need to focus the outputs of the college, the money that the college spends, on employability, right? And what we're trying to do is to create those opportunities.
Okay.
Colleges, 42 colleges, with £200 million of reserves, which is what we have, right, which is an important figure, right, with duplication on innumerable courses, with a 43 sets of different terms and conditions for staff, couldn't last. Because if it lasted, we were wasting a great deal of money. So let me finish. So what we're trying to do is to go from there to a much more efficient, effective sector with more opportunities in 3 years.
There's no opportunities. See when we
there are lots of opportunities here.
I met you in Commercial Street last year at the round table for a future or fight, and I asked you some specific questions about what education would look like this year. And people, including Miles, who was the principal here, kept on talking to me. I was told people who started their courses would be able to finish their course. I was told that voluntary severance wouldn't affect the quality of education. Well, I'm telling you, it has and it will. Okay?
Well,
and that's your responsibility. That's an impact to the cuts.
There are opportunities, right? I don't believe that any college sector that somebody starts a course, they should be stopped from finishing that course.
You told me they would not finish it.
Well, I don't agree with that.
Well, it's happened.
Well, which courses have happened on here?
It's happened in here. It's happened over minimum of 200 students. Okay, so performance arts for a start. BTEC, performance arts, computing.
Hang on a second.
Computing.
If you write to us with the courses, right, that students, and with evidence, students have not been able to finish their course, I will raise that with the college. Because I don't believe that any student who starts a course should not have the opportunity to finish a course. Quite the reverse. I want to see students having every opportunity to do so. Okay?
But we're now a year later and promises. Now, I remember coming to you, I remember coming with all my colleagues for NUS, coming and asking many, putting our concerns to you, and you saying, absolutely not, absolutely not. Miles was saying the same, absolutely not. As soon as the regionalisation starts coming into effect, what happens? We start losing staff, they start issuing criteria, people have been...
What's wrong with criteria?
Criteria is fine, but when people, the year before, people's ability to finish a course shouldn't be defined on the background of their circumstances. I know one student in particular who had broken his leg, comes from one of the poorest backgrounds in Edinburgh, and he was hobbling. He's a painting and decorator, he said he could finish it. Okay? The criteria affects people's ability to get onto the courses. The criteria of the college, people's ability to finish the courses.
Extra criteria, when somebody starts a year one course and they're told that they can do the rest of the second year, at the end of that first year, they're not going to get an extra criteria so those people are not.
I'll tell you what it's designed. It's designed to reduce the outcome. What people do is they oversubscribe to courses, but they didn't have the provision. They didn't have the provision in place, and they didn't have the staff to backfill to fill places. Do you know that currently we didn't have any for speakers of other languages? Okay, we didn't have any provision for students in here. We have no ESOL, that was removed. Okay, and we didn't have Burlington English currently being delivered. There's nobody delivering that. We have students who are going to be failing. It's an SQA requirement that they're 5.1 IELTS. Okay, there's no support for these students. Okay, and I'll tell you what, you can't go back and blame the college and say, why have you not done this? Because they're getting their budgets absolutely robbed, and they're expected to. Yes, they are.
They are getting their budget fraud.
Yes, they are.
We're not going to make progress unless we actually look at things. Right?
$1 billion at universities since what?
Yes, well, there's those two things.
Why can you invest in a university but no in a college?
Are not connected at all.
Right.
We've got a set. Oh, sorry, you can have your opinion, and I have my opinion, right? Those two things aren't connected. What we're trying to do in this sector is to make sure that we've got more opportunities for young people that are focused on employment in a sector that's operating not as wastefully and more accountably. Now, we're not going to agree on this, right?
No,
we've got 3 years. We've got 3 years to deliver that, right?
Yeah.
We're going into year 2 of that. The figures that are published about cuts, incling published on this website, aren't actually true, right?
Which is really concerning.
Actually aren't true, right? What we've been trying to do every year, what I've been trying to do every year is to add additional resource to make sure that we continue to have resource available, but we're also trying to put in place the resource that the colleges have. And the colleges that have massive reserves that need to put that in place so that we can get through this place and have a better system at the end of year 3. That's what we're doing. I have with me today the Welsh Education Minister. They're going through exactly the same difficulties because the college sector was not operating in the way that it needed to operate. It's hard, but we're getting there. I don't want any student to fail to finish a course.
Can I ask how you're going to protect the females that are being disadvantaged by the cuts in education? Now, there's more females dropping out of education.
And there's still more women than men in the college sector. About substantially more.
I'm sorry, but that is irrelevant. John's right, it's a larger percentage. So these students that start their course that can't finish them because they've not got the right support in place, because the student services budgets have been absolutely slashed by the cuts that you have put forward. What is your explanation for that?
Well,
how am I going to go and explain to students who can no longer come to college because they can't afford their childcare, because they can't afford it as a single parent? How can I explain that to them?
There's funding for childcare. We've maintained our resources for student support, right? I have to say, what nobody else has done, well, we've maintained our resources for student support. Those resources are at the same level. I wish there were more, but they're at the same level. I have to finish one answer before you start another, okay? We have to make sure that we continue to do that. We're doing that. But I do accept that there are issues, for example, in mergers that require additional support. And that's one of the things that I am now looking at to see if we can provide additional support for a number of groups, right, who need help.
So what and when?
What?
What and when?
Well, I'm looking at it. I'll need to look at it, right? Nothing happens instantly, but I'll need to look at it, and I recognise there's an issue raised.
I know it doesn't happen instantly, but how does that help the women in this college right now that are leaving their course today?
If a woman leaves a course today because she hasn't got support from the college itself through discretionary funding, right, it is the college that needs to answer that question, right? Because the college has the same funds for discretionary students.
But the college doesn't have the same amount of staff as it did last year. So how can...
The college has to make its decisions. I do not staff colleges. Colleges make their decisions.
No, you give them the money to staff colleges.
And colleges make their decisions on what they do. And indeed, students are on the boards of colleges.
So
what we're trying to encourage participation in.
Are you arguing that colleges are not basing their staffing decisions based on the money that you're providing?
They're basing their staffing decisions on what their budget is, but they're basing it on their own priorities too. No, they're basing it on their own priorities too. I do not deliver education in any single college.
So what are they meant to cut?
Why would I have a board of management if I did it myself?
So you're saying colleges can't be cut in places because you've said
no,
that
I've not said that. No, I've not.
So you're controlling that.
Please don't put words into my mouth.
What else are they meant to cut?
Right?
What else are they meant to cut?
They will make their decisions on what their priorities are. Now, I've got to go in 1 second. You haven't said anything. Do you want to say something?
We have very little reserves. You're talking about this 200 million reserves. Now, a lot of that's actually capital reserves, which has the chance to spend on lecturers and stuff like that. Anyway, so we've got a very little amount of reserves, so that kind of argument doesn't wash here at all. What is going to happen here next year is every single course is going to have 3 hours of supported learning or virtual learning, which is well proven, will not have an extra benefit to the students.
Give me an example. The academic study that tells me that's well proven. You see, I think part of this, John, is changes. Things happen differently, right? But I think what you need to do is to say, when you say supported learning is well proven, right? Not to be education.
As an aid.
You need to step back and say, how can you prove that? Because actually what they're trying to do is provide the best education possible. Now I've got to go.
Last year, people proved that virtual learning doesn't work.
It's the last one, right?
I've got evidence to prove that virtual learning doesn't work in here last year. Last year, virtual learning was a tool that was used as an aid for core skills and through the Moodle system, relying on lecturers having assessments within the classroom to feed back effectively to their students. It has not worked. I have minuted meetings where students are constantly complaining about it. Now, I have absolutely no faith that you put somebody in front of your computer and expect people to still feed back. It's fundamentally flawed because the current system in this college does not work with virtual learning. It's a great deal. We embrace regionalisation. What we didn't like is watching funding resources get dwindled and you saying that you're maintaining student support. The college funding is a lot more than just student support. Okay, the quality of education is taken apart. And we need to remedy that.
No, okay. I'm trying to discuss this with unions and students and stuff, right? But the fact remains, and I'm sorry, I just have to put this on the record. The fact remains, we've got 3 years to make essential changes within the college sector. We're trying to do so. Where things happen, such as students not being able to finish courses, I will certainly ask the college what is going on. Right?
It was you that promised us last year.
Just whatever I promised, I do not want college to do so. But the fact also remains, I have to say this, right? I do not run this college, right? I do not run any college in Scotland. That is why they have a board, that is why they're autonomous institutions, that is why the bill will protect that autonomy, right? And that's what we're trying to do. So students will be and are on the boards of colleges. I hope your student representative on the board is asking these questions and making sure the answers are given.
Don't worry, I am, and I know it's all because of the cuts that are coming.
Well, yeah, well, I don't believe it is, John, but there we are, that's where we are. Okay, I believe that the changes are essential to deliver, in my view. Okay, thanks. Cheers.
Cheers, thank you.
Education is a right.
Shite.
Sean, would you like her to say anything after speaking to Mick Russell?
Nothing polite.
I think that, see last year, he promised us that there would be no displacement caused by VS or by cuts, there would be no progression routes cut, okay? All of that's happened because what they do is they put a burden on staff to deliver the same level of curriculum and provision with less resources. It's not possible. Now what they want to do is they want to put people in virtual learning environments, not as an aid to studying, which I embrace, but as a replacement for class time, and package it nicely when in reality it's to reduce £3.1 million in cuts in the next year or two or whatever it is.
Student support has been cut. It's a real terms cut in student support. He's a barefaced liar to say it's not been cut. We know that. He's not taking inflation into account at all. The fact is there's very little reserves in college, in this college, and this is why we've lost 150 staff last year. We're likely to lose at least another 100 over the next year. All our contact time is going to get replaced by sitting in front of computers or being taught by lecturers who don't know the subject. That is not acceptable. We've got to fund Scotland's future.
Mike Russell, we know you. We know you're a liar too.